Well, well. Seems like I get about 5 minutes to rant about Pokemon and mythology. Yes, you heard me right. Pokemon. Since each story is very short in their respective mythologies and in the Pokemon world, I'm going to jumble a few of my favorites together. Quick warning, I'm going to do a lot of jumping, and some of these myths may not be entirely accurate because this is about 30 years of Pokemon information. Don't worry, Professor Larvitar and I will make it very easy for you. So, let's begin with myth number 1 all the way from the first Pokemon game, the legendary birds, Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres. Yes, they have Spanish numbers in their names. Now take a good look at these birds. What do you see? Now let me show you a new one. Now what do you see? This bird is called forgive my pronunciation, a homa. A homa, seen in Persian myths, was a giant bird known for its benevolent and compassionate nature. A homa is forced to live its entirety of its life in the sky. Although it is said if one is touched by its shadow or gets a glimpse of one, they will be happy for the rest of their lives. However, if one kills a homa, they are said to die in 40 days. It is said that if someone was touched by the shadow, they would be bestowed the title of king, and it was a sign of unreachable highness. Another way you could portray these birds is a feng huang, a Chinese phoenix. A feng huang was often described as looking like this. But now, they are depicted looking like this. An ancient bird representing the sky, the sun, the moon, wind, earth, and the planets. Each coloring of the feng huang, which is red, green, black, white, and yellow, are said to represent the 5 principles of Confucius, those being Ren, Yi, Zi, Xin, and Li. This bird was often associated with femininity in art, the dragon associated with masculinity throughout Chinese mythology, also often seen in weddings and royalty, as the feng huang was often described as being sent to the empress by the heavens, and another symbol for the yin and yang. There you go. 1 myth down and a couple more to go. Fun fact, you can call an Articuno Articoden, which is based on the French word Arctique and the Norse god Odin. Myth fact number 2. This one comes from space. No, I'm not kidding. This behemoth, known as Rayquaza, is a legendary Pokemon based off of the creature Quetzalcoatl. Sorry for my mispronunciation. Also, let me put a ground rule. None of these Pokemon have genders unless specified in lore, even though in myths they're either assigned male or female. No legendary Pokemon has a gender unless it's specified, which is like 1 or 2. Anyways, Rayquaza is the reason the land and the sea don't have beef. That is also not a joke. Much like Rayquaza, it is stated in Mesoamerican mythology that Quetzalcoatl is a divine being in the sky. There is one interpretation of Quetzalcoatl being born from a higher deity who had about 400 other children in the Milky Way, which is funny since Rayquaza is also stated to have fallen to Earth from an event of falling meteors. Quetzalcoatl is also the god of light, justice, mercy, and the wind. It is believed that our world is in a cycle of suns, that ours is the 5th sun. Many other suns before us have been destroyed by floods and fire, Quetzalcoatl forming our world from the bones of godly ancestors before him. In Pokemon lore, our world began as Groudon, the land, and Kyogre, the sea, fought to unleash their primordial power, long before we humans existed. Another figure you could compare these both to is Ziz from Hebrew mythology, and let me tell you, if you know what a Leviathan is, Ziz is the size of that, but a griffin-like being. Do you know what a Kelpie is? If not, let me describe it to you. A kelpie is a supernatural being water horse from Scotland. Do you know what a kirin is? Well, it's this unicorn-like creature that dates back to the Han Dynasty of China, with a curved horn and the ability to walk on water. Trust me, this all leads into my next Pokemon I'm talking about. My personal favorite, Keldeo, also known as the Fourth Sword of Justice. Despite looking super adorable in this form, a mythological kelpie looks a lot more like this. Ugh. A kelpie is an evil horse-like spirit that resides in the rivers and lakes near places with large populations. The kelpie ended up being a simple story to keep kids away from the water for safety, while the kirin, or quillen, was a depiction of what would come to be known as giraffes, as it has horns and a slim dragon-like body, eventually becoming what we know today as a unicorn. Now, what is so evil about a kelpie? Well, for one, I don't want a horse drowning me, eating me, and then throwing my innards onto the shore. I know. Here, Keldeo is a Pokemon who is taught by 3 other horse-like or deer-like Pokemon to protect the humans it encounters. All of these Pokemon share the secondary type of fighting, as an homage to the characters from the Three Musketeers. Keldeo is also based on a story from the Three Musketeers, primarily based on, excuse my language, d'Artagnan from the novel. I mean, look at his cute feathered little tail! He looks like d'Artagnan's feathered cap. I know, super short, but I had to give my boy justice and talk about kelpies. You know that old Dr. House clip that mentions Arceus? I'm talking about this one.
Also meant sharing the air.
Chlorine gas pools near the ground. He thought he'd be safe in the top bunk.
Well, why would anyone try to poison our guy?
He makes a living sending people to prison.
But he's not in prison, and it's kind of hard to gas a guy unless you can seal him in a room first.
Which is why Arceus created a universe with 3 states of matter.
And 300 solid and liquid poisons that could cause his symptoms.
Arceus?
Look it up. And alkalinize his urine. Go search his...
Yeah, that one. Well, who is Arceus, you're probably wondering? Who is his equivalent? Well, for our final mythological creation, we're gonna go biblical. That's right. We're talking about Pokemon God and Satan themselves. Our first figure, Giratina, ruler of the Distortion World, was banished there after Arceus, Pokemon God, created them and the world. What exactly did Arceus do, and who exactly is he closest to in mythology? Well, like House said, Arceus created essentially everything like God himself. From Arceus came Palkia and Dialga, our 2 Pokemon embodiments of solid and liquid, as Palkia is a water type and Dialga is steel. Not only are they the figures of solids and liquids, but they are also our embodiments of time and space, Palkia being space and Dialga being time. Now, where are the gases? Well, that would be our lovely Giratina here, our embodiment of antimatter and gases. Since Giratina is our figure of antimatter and evil, Arceus was forced to put away Giratina from the physical world. Now, Giratina is often compared to the fallen angel Samael, or also known as Lucifer in the Bible. Giratina, however, is more based on the form of a Chinese dragon, a snake-like figure and 2 wings. It is also implied that Giratina is also based off of a seraph, a 6-winged angel often described with a serpentine body. You want to know what's funny? Giratina is a ghost type, a further detail to it being gas-based alongside antimatter. Arceus, however, is more based on regal images like heroes, kings, and saints. I mean, look at him. The thing on Arceus' middle is implied to be a halo of sorts, the design itself being a sacred, holy symbol. There is even an implication from Japanese mythology that Arceus is the representation of the sacred being that created Izanami and Izanagi, the 2 godly figures that created the islands of Japan. Arceus, stated to have been born from a single egg in an empty void, is often seen as a similar figure like, excuse my pronunciation, Avalok It Tesvada, a Buddhist god with many pairs of arms that created the world that could be seen in many forms. There are so many Pokemon based on real mythological figures, I didn't have time to touch on all of them. So, like and subscribe for another video like this. And thank you for watching. And even Professor Larvitar thanks you. Bye-bye!